We are God's children now. What we shall be has not yet been revealed. We do know that when it is revealed, we shall be like Him, for we shall see Him as He is. Anybody looking forward to that moment? I certainly am, and I'm hoping I get to that moment. Everyone who has this hope based on Him makes himself pure as He is pure. So, my friends, every age has its challenges, and ours is no different. And we shouldn't think that ours is worse than any other age. We just have our own unique set of challenges. What is essential is that we keep our eyes fixed on Christ, as St. Paul says in the letter to the Hebrews, so that we can find our way. He is at the helm of the ship in these turbulent times. He is a consolation to every human person, every human heart and soul. He is the protector and guide of His church. Though surrounded by a world, we are not of the world, and we need always keep in mind that we are more than mere mortals, more than mere flesh. In Christ, God has forged a bond and a union with us. Our human nature is infused with grace. What is natural, what is good, is now strengthened by supernatural grace. And by use of sound reason and true faith, we find our way and our home. We can discover that the designs and desires of the Creator, which are written within the body and the flesh and the hearts of each of one of us, we discover this design, and we learn to live and love in Christ Jesus. So I hope these days, this time here, is strengthening your faith, is raising your own conscious awareness of who you are as a child of God and the dignity that is yours. Because the more we recognize that for ourselves, the more we must recognize that in every other person. Every other person. So thank you for your presence here, but mostly thank you for your faith and for being willing to share that faith with others. So at this point, I'm going to turn things over to, what's your name? To our bishop from Yakima, who's going to talk about our Prepares program.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. You're the best. You're the best. Courageous witness. I want us to really hear the words of Archbishop Etienne, courageous witness. And with that, I want to cue up right now. 5 years ago, we were here and we launched Prepares. It was a great moment for us in Washington State as bishops. My brother bishops and I, we launched Prepares 5 years ago. And here's the video of some courageous witnesses to the gift of life. Let's look at the Prepares video now.
Parishes are absolutely crucial to the success of Prepares because it's from the parishes that we receive the volunteers who accompany mothers and fathers and their children.
This is really a parish-based ministry, and we should never forget that. The volunteers are really on the forefront.
Prepares is really walking the journey with women, their children, their families.
Prepares would not be possible, quite frankly, without our parishes. Our volunteers that come from our parishes are the heart of the ministry.
We want the families to walk through the doors of our parishes knowing they're loved and cared for.
Prepares clearly shows we are pro-life people who respond in compassion to those in need, whatever those situation and circumstances may be.
The bishops are a crucial part of the Prepares ministry as the leadership of our state. Since Prepares began in 2014, we have been able to grow the program from just serving families in the Spokane County to all 13 counties across the Spokane Diocese.
The clothing closet that we've set up here at St. Mary's is called Lamb's Closet. And Prepares has so many opportunities to do other things to help families too. It could be more than clothing closets. So over here we have some items that you might be able to use if you wanted some shampoo.
Prepares has been really good, and being a single mom is kind of hard, making sure he has the good amount of clothes, and so it's a big help be able to shop for clothes. Now our weeks are filled with ABA therapy.
The experience our volunteers are having when they are part of the Prepares Parish Ministry is something we didn't quite expect. This is life-changing experiences they are having.
Welcome everybody to Prepared Moms. It is a Dr. Stephanie Day.
I'm a physician in the pediatric emergency department at Providence Sacred Heart Medical Center here in Spokane.
Providence Hospital has been very supportive of Prepares and the work we do.
My low for the week was I'm just dealing with a lot with having a new baby, being a mom.
The Prepared Moms group was put together to build community. These are groups that parishes can start and run because we are 0 to 5. The more community you have, the more relationships you can build, the stronger you will be as a parent.
I think we're helping them to live that good life, to live their best life and be the best parents that they can be to their kids.
Coming here to Prepared Moms, the whole program has helped me to, yes, fill my need of, getting help, but also being able to help others and share my story.
Prepares is so important because we value families, and in order to value families, we've got to support them.
We want to support the mom, we want to support the dad, and we want to support the child. And one of the best ways to support the dads is to have a fatherhood group. When a Prepares parish brings in a fatherhood group, dads sometimes are the forgotten part of this family unit, and all they are really wanting is support and encouragement, and they need mentoring.
My name is Father Kenny Saint-Hilaire, and I'm the pastor here at Immaculate Conception in Colville and Sacred Heart in Kettle Falls, and then also Pure Heart of Mary Parish up in Northport. As an outreach of our parish, the Prepares program is like a welcome mat for the community. Any woman can come in through our doors with any degree of need. Pat has been a real blessing. She came in from the beginning and just had a huge heart for this ministry.
There is a great need for diapers here. Clear from Spokane County, clear up to the Canadian border.
Personally, she's helped me with the diapers for sure, and then just to be a person to listen.
I'm accused of being very passionate about this, and yeah, I have to carry Kleenex with me where I go because I will see something and I'll realize there's God's working out here in the community, and it makes me feel really, really good. I just wish more people could see that.
That's where Christ converts the giver. When we get out of ourselves and put the needs of someone else before us, and before our needs, we become more the person that God's created us to be.
Prepares is integral to our life and social justice priorities. They really are manifested in the work of what our volunteers do every single day.
Prepares is anchored in the works of mercy. We want to walk that journey with the woman and provide wraparound care and support for her child, and for family.
We will walk alongside you as long as you want us there.
Good to see you.
Prepares has helped me to know that the Holy Spirit does work through other people and helps them to know that peace.
There's light at the end of the tunnel.
I was in a downward spiral without Prepares. I was feeling depression for the first time, which is a really strong word. But Prepares just gave me hope that I wasn't alone and that I could do it. That having 3 kids really close together is not going to kill me. That I could still be a good mom because someone's there for me. They paired me with Dot, and she came a couple times a few months ago, and it was life-changing.
And this is what Prepares is all about. I think just giving that hope to a family that things are going to get better.
A brincar la cerca.
I started with the Martinez family 3 years ago. Prepares got a little bookcase and some donated books, and I started reading to everybody, and they loved that. One of the things Prepares does is introduce people like me to people like the Martinez. The triplets will age out of the Prepares program in 2 years, but they're never going to age out of my heart, and I'm always going to be involved with that family.
Pues me agrada su compañía.
I really appreciate Anne and her time with me. I especially appreciate the care she gives to my children, the love that she gives to the children.
It's a social justice ministry in that we are helping empower people who are pretty powerless.
When we walk alongside families that are not only trying to become the best parent that they can, but are also confronting very significant hardship, this is where Prepares comes to life. And in this way, we bridge our life and social justice priorities.
In Western Washington, we are establishing partnerships with the healthcare community, and in particularly with some Catholic hospitals here. Notably, CHI Franciscan, their birthing center in Burien, provides us referrals of new moms that are being discharged from the hospital, and these moms may not even have access to a car seat to take the baby home in. They may not have a safe sleep environment for that baby, and so we are able to help provide a crib for them. Port Orchard took the approach of setting up a baby closet that can support women in their surrounding neighborhood. And it's a beautiful project where there's a number of volunteers that work tirelessly, really, to collect items, sort the items, make them available to moms.
I'm Shel Gudger, and I am the Prepares Parish Coordinator for St. Gabriel and Prince of Peace in Belfair. It's rewarding to me to see the love that can be poured out from our volunteers.
The best thing about it is seeing the moms and the children and getting to know them a little bit and seeing the joy. I get to see miracles happening all the time.
Play with Love is a program that originated in response to a need that was brought to us by our Hispanic community. Many of them are new immigrants to the country. They don't have a support network close by. And so this enables us to have a facilitated session once a week with these moms and their children that are under 5. They come and they learn to have activities that are creative, that help kids learn how to learn.
My name is Father Cal Christensen, and I am the pastor of St. Pius X Parish here in Montlake Terrace. We want to do everything that we can as a church to say that you are valued, your child is valued, and we are going to support you in your decision to keep that child.
Father Cal Christensen has been one of our strongest supporters for Prepares. And so his project of Mercy House is a partnership really of Prepares, St. Vincent de Paul, the parish itself, and possibly other parishes locally.
Well, Mercy House is a very exciting project, ministry, and outreach. Prepares certainly will be a very important part of this Mercy House project.
This ministry has helped me to grow in my faith, to see the face of Jesus in all these people. It has been a blessing for me.
I'm Kim, and I'm 7 months pregnant, and I'm expecting a little girl. And I'm very, very excited and happy. Prepares is a very good program because it helps you and it gives you the support of every little situation that a mom can need. They give you diapers and baby clothes, and even for you, you know, just gathering with other pregnant ladies, I think that would be very helpful.
I am really, really amazed to see how the Lord is in control of this ministry. Really, it's not ours, it's God working through us, and it is beautiful to be a witness.
It's transformed my life in the sense that you're not just handing out diapers. Your hands are doing God's work in the community.
It's part of our human existence. It's part of our human condition to want and feel loved. And I can't think of anything more powerful than to grab a family by their hand and say, I got you. It's gonna be all right.
Prepares gives women an opportunity to know they will be loved. It is part of making that choice for them. It's telling them, we are here for you, and we want you to have only one choice, and that choice is to be a parent, to love this baby and know that you will be loved and you will not be alone. We will accompany, we will journey this parenting with you, and that's what Prepares is all about.
Amen. Courageous, courageous witnesses. I just want to talk a little bit more about the courageous witness of Prepares. Sister Sharon Park, are you in the house? Sister Sharon is in the back, longtime executive director for the Washington State Catholic Conference. Her mother taught me civics in the 7th grade. True story. And in 1970, this is what's unique that we want to keep in front of us. I'm local, right? I'm born in Moses Lake in the diocese where I'm bishop, and I'm bishop in the cathedral where I was baptized. And then we moved when my dad got out of the Air Force. Well, I had 7th grade civics with Sister Sharon Park's mother. And at that point, we were the first and only state in the U.S. to have voted by popular ballot to legalize abortion. There were other places that were moving this way, others that, but we are the only ones that voted by popular ballot. This is deeply embedded in our environment. Well, of course, Sister Sharon Park's mother had us doorbelling all over St. Alphonsus and Ballard, and it was a great event in civics class. But this is key because we want to give people a pro-life moment in a pro-choice culture. We aren't going to wait for R. V. Wade. And friends, God willing, even if R. V. Wade is reversed, abortion remains legal here because it was legal before R. V. Wade. This is the importance of Prepares, having an uplifting, enlightening, joyous, humorous, loving, embracing response to the gift of life. It's us becoming courageous witnesses. Let me just lay out just a couple of numbers, because the numbers tell the story of really your courageous witness. In our 5 years, we are now in 34 of the 39 counties in Washington State. We're now in nearly 160 parishes, well over the halfway point of our parishes in Washington State. We have served nearly 13,000 families in our first 5 years. This is a tremendous outreach. Everything from the intense work of our family companions, our compañeras familiares, to just touching a family with a welcome bag. There's a variety of ways that we've been able to reach out with Prepares. What I'd really like to do now is, if you're involved in the Prepares ministry in your parish in any way in these last 5 years, would you stand? Let's just see all of our Prepares folks that are in the house right now and give them a big, big round of applause. Courageous witnesses. We could not do this without the partnership of the Catholic Campaign for Human Development. Jeff Corrigan, I know you're out there today and you've been walking with us. Jeff has been working with us really most especially during our second grant period. Jeff, thank you, and please pass on our thanks to the United States Catholic Conference of Bishops and getting our financial sea legs around this. Jeff was with us yesterday, and I just want to tell 3 stories about the Vision Prepares. The first story is really from a small town in central Washington we visited yesterday. We had a group all in Spanish of Spanish language prepares volunteers, compañeras familiares, women who accompany other women on that first 5 years during the journey of life. One woman told this story, and what I want you to hear is how proactive we are now. This woman, this family companion, her neighbor had a friend, and she approached, she was pregnant, and her boyfriend had made the appointment for the abortion. And of course, our Prepares volunteer, do you want to have the child? Yes, yes. So we are, and the good news, of course, is the wraparound love and care of support from that parish Prepares group really accompanied that woman. I'm happy to report the husband is involved in the child, and they're both very happy to have the child. But we got to them before they were walking in front of a Planned Parenthood clinic. So we've moved, dare I say, the battle line way up. We are infusing a pro-life moment in what I know can be a very difficult pro-choice culture. This is what is happening now, thanks to Prepares. My second story, and you can look at this photo on the Diocese of Yakima website, of the Diocese of Yakima Facebook, Bishop Tyson Facebook. I was in Mattawa, Washington. Cindy Sauceda, our coordinator, she and I went out there 5 years ago, starting from nothing, kind of eating tacos and talking to people, and Cindy just kind of dogged it. We have this wonderful Prepares group. Well, I was asked to celebrate the 30th anniversary of our parish in Mattawa. Mattawa is a town that's gone from 500 to 5,000 people in 10 years. And it's about 98% Hispanic. You could fire a gun and not talk to anybody in English in Mattawa. So the pastor called and said, it's the 30th anniversary of the parish. I came out to celebrate. They miscalculated. It was 32 years, but they already planned the fiesta. So, you know, this is parish life. Go with it. And at the liturgy, they're bringing up the gifts, different gifts that decorating the altar with gifts that symbolize the ministry of 32 years as a parish. And the last gift they brought up was a group of women that Cindy would know. They were the Prepares volunteers, and they brought me a child that had been helped by Prepares. It was just an extraordinary moment to see it going from zero to a beautiful witness to life in a very struggling, challenged community made up of many, many people, some of whom are not documented. My third piece, going back to this same group in Central Washington, we were talking to, Jeff was actually asking some very insightful questions around training. And many of the women in Spanish expressed the need to know, how do we refer and when? And then, of course, the conversation got to, well, when you refer to a professional, how do you do that when your client isn't documented and they're afraid? The hard-edged lesson for me as bishop in a diocese that's probably 1/3 undocumented, where 75% of the diocese is Hispanic, and where our average age in the Hispanic community is 23, our average age in the Anglophone community is 63, that if you want to save the unborn, you have to walk through the doors of the undocumented. This was the beautiful witness that we heard last night, a beginning and ending of life issues being most anchored and most weighed most heavily in our church tradition, but we have to walk the journey at every point, or the full menu. This is the vision of Prepares, walking the journey of life from the beginning to the end. I want to also then add this. Estoy muy agradecido por los muchos participantes de la diócesis de Yakima. I'm very aware that it's not quite the same to come to a conference to receive a translation box, huh? So I want to thank our Central Washington people that are here, especially our Spanish speakers. I told our English and Spanish speakers in Yakima that it's easy to be pro-life in Central Washington, but you can feel morally alone when you're west of the Cascades and you're pro-life. We need to come. So, Yakimaniacs, thank you for coming. No, estoy muy agradecido por. But let me also say this. We need to do this in Spanish. And you're all invited next October 10th to the Diocese of Yakima when we replicate a lot of what you're seeing in Spanish during our regular catechetical conference. But we're going to extend 3/4 of our participants are Spanish speaking, but we're going to do a strong track on life issues in Spanish next year. So invite your Spanish speaking friends, and there'll be an English speaking track as well. But estoy muy agradecido por los muchos participantes de la comunidad hispana. Gracias por su cariño, gracias por su amor por la iglesia y gracias por ser bien servientes de la palabra de nuestro Señor y Redentor Jesucristo. Ustedes son lo máximo. So my many thanks, those of you who are listening on translation devices today, for being here and participating. Let me just close by passing this on to my colleague, Bishop Daly. Introducing Bishop Daly, I want to say this. We would not be where we're at with Prepares were it not for the architecture and the footprint of the CAPA program. Lisa Green and Donna Hanson, God rest her soul, Rob McCann, for many years doing this work in Spokane, and really for Bishop Daly's support. I know our Yakima diocese-based bilingual team that serves our 40 parishes, we want to return the favor and lean out to the 11 parishes in the Spokane diocese in this next 5-year period. But we're very deeply grateful for the collaboration that we've had with Bishop Daly east of the Cascades. Bishop Daly, you're up and you're on, brother.
If you do go to Yakima, you can be assured that Bishop Tyson asks for pledge cards for his annual appeal. Nothing is ever given free. But I do thank those who came before me, especially those in Catholic Charities who are present here, Rob and others, for the work that Prepares was started before I came as bishop, but continues well in the state of Washington. I've been asked to speak on just some general issues of our young people. And I'm sure many of you, if not all of you, saw that survey that was done by Pew about the belief of Catholics or lack of belief in the Eucharist. And it was very troubling. It's troubling to us as bishops, as shepherds, and to the priests, and I'm sure the teachers, and how that came to be. But there are challenges in addition to this Pew study with our young people. It came out after the last cornerstone, the St. Mary's Press in Winona, which is a ministry of the De La Salle Christian Brothers. There was a study going, the dynamics of disaffiliation in young Catholics. I'm sure many of you have seen this. And it was a very thorough survey of young people who have left the faith, as we would say. We used to say that people never left the church, they just stopped practicing. But this is a bit more dramatic. And this study, again, in its completeness, captured the challenges we face. There are 3 groupings of those whose average age, if they say they're no longer Catholic, between 10 and 20, with the average age being 13 years old when someone says, I am no longer Catholic. And our young people are divided into 3 areas: the injured, the drifter, and the dissenter. The injured, you may know, are people who, in their own family, they have prayed. Let's say grandma is sick. We pray that she will get better. And grandma dies. The injured might be a family where the practicing Catholic might be the dad or the mom, and there's a divorce. And the so-called practicing Catholic is the one who was unfaithful and left. And that young person is confused as to the meaning of what it is to be a practicing Catholic, and suddenly now you've left. The injured might be someone who has never had someone model for them the faith and explain to them the role of suffering united with Jesus Christ, and yet it's very much a part of our life. The next group are the drifters, and that reflects the mobility of society. These individuals, perhaps they've moved from one part of the country to another, they go to a large parish, they don't know people, and suddenly it's not individuals who are leaving, maybe families are leaving. They don't have an understanding of why the church teaches what it does, and so it's easy to move away. The dissenters are that group of young people who, again, Mass is not important, religious education is minimal, the school they go to doesn't address these issues. They fundamentally, even though they're young, do not agree with the church's teaching on marriage and the life issues, on sexuality, on redemption or suffering. This is a large segment, and you probably have heard also the stats that the growing number of young people with no religious affiliation. There's a study done that became a part of a book, and the book was written by a woman who is both Jewish and Protestant, named Linda Mercandante, I believe is her name, and called Belief Without Borders. And she speaks about young people, perhaps millennials, who have, as we know, not particularly affiliated with any religion, and that's because their parents weren't affiliated with any kind of religion or any denomination for that matter. So she writes about even in schools, there's no guarantee that a young person will remain in the faith. Both this book and another book, Understanding Former Young Catholics from Notre Dame, are very thorough, which tries to break down the reasons why young people are drifting. Kara did a study recently about belief being affected by young people who think one cannot see the value of science and faith. It's a challenge to our Catholic schools to make sure that science and all the subjects are taught within the rich tradition of the church and our faith. Throughout this, we see a theme, and I think Sister spoke about this in her presentation on family prayer, that those in 20 to younger are now being called the loneliest generation. And as was mentioned in Sister's presentation this morning as the keynote, that a number of our young people in isolation do not know the value of community. Not just any community, but a community of faith that we call the church. A common theme also present is that the young people lack two things, those who are no longer Catholic. A word that we've used a lot earlier in the bishop's presentation, and that is witness. St. Paul VI talked about witness being so valuable, and if a teacher is effective, it's because he or she is a witness first. These young people don't have anyone witnessing to the faith. The second is they don't have a place where they can ask questions, where doubts can be shared. Now, it's significant to look to two portions or two passages from Scripture that capture this. In the last chapter of Matthew's Gospel, when Jesus is about to ascend to heaven, we're told very simply two phrases, two sentences about the apostles. They worshiped, but in the very same passage, we're told they doubted. The apostles who were to lead the church, who had been there, John only wanted to be on the cross, but the rest to scatter, But Jesus gives them his peace when he meets them in the upper room, and they witness the post-resurrection experiences, but they still doubted. So our young people in the context of this are in good company, but no one has really shared that with them. I think, having spent myself nearly 20 years as a teacher and a president of school and receiving graduate studies in that, some of our schools have created a parallel church. The emphasis may be on just social projects without teaching the faith with charity and clarity and fidelity. And so in that parallel church, we've done nothing to equip our young people with what we've been hearing in this increasingly secular culture, where young people don't have peers who share their faith, but they would in a school that is teaching the faith, again, with charity and compassion and truth. A passage, I think, that everybody in faith formation of young people, and especially in Catholic education, should study and pray over closely, is Jesus and the rich young man in Mark's gospel. There are three elements to that conversation, that interaction, that characterize any time Jesus dealt with people. The first is we're told he loved that young man. Christian love is not about liking. I tell this to the priests of the diocese. I used to tell this to students. You don't have to like me, and I don't have to like you. In fact, Jesus didn't like the apostles probably half the time, but he loved them. That is, he wanted what was best for them. And that's what we are called to do, to want what's best for another. So Jesus loved that rich young man. The second is he respected his freedom. He allowed him to walk. He was sad, but he allowed him to walk. Because Jesus proposes, he doesn't impose. But the third, and this is where sometimes this has been lacking in the church, Jesus did not compromise. Compassion always, compromise never, should characterize evangelization. Jesus did not say, okay, I told you to sell half of what you, don't sell all of it, sell a third of it. No, Jesus did not compromise. And the challenge we face today are the pressures to go with the flow. And that will never end properly. Our young people look to us to give witness, authenticity. It's interesting in the study of Going, Gone, it said only 2% said the sex abuse crisis in the church affected them. But in that same study, it was very clear that children who remain Catholic do so because if a family raises their children in the faith, they go to Mass on a regular basis, they talk about faith, they support the faith, overwhelmingly the children will stay with the faith. But when that isn't present, they will leave the faith, and they are leaving in droves. And this isn't just in the Anglo community. In California, where I was from, in the Hispanic and the Asian cultures, the young priests who are born here, but with that as their heritage, speak about the fact that many of their peers are leaving rapidly because part of their struggle was the inability to adapt from a cultural Catholicism to a lived Catholicism in this moment in time. Lest we get discouraged by this reality, we know that there are signs of great hope. The power of retreats, the youth conferences, either Steubenville Northwest or CYC that happens, pilgrimages, youth days. Those are significant moments that affect on our young people. But again, what is so crucial at a time in our society when marriage is under attack, when the role of a father and a husband is dismissed, it's interesting the significant role that dads play in the faith. The line is that children listen to their mothers, but they watch their fathers is so significant. And overwhelmingly, young people do stay with the faith if the dad is a part of it, if the dad supports the mom in that. Now, we all know of conversion stories that happen. the mustard seed, or the preface of the martyrs in the old sacramentary, you choose the weak and make them strong. What is so essential is humility, charity, compassion, but commitment to the truth. So our young people look to us, especially to the church, and we know this is a challenging time when the authority of the bishops, as I said, the word that I don't allow to be used in Spokane is transparency, because it sounds like we have been advised by PR firms or by lawyers. The word we really should recommit ourselves to is a word we all understand, truth, for the truth will set us free. So our young people see in us that ability to be witnesses, but they also see in us, if we can explain to them what it is in the context of our own faith, that yes, we too struggle, as with the apostles we doubt, but we trust. And it is in humility and openness to God's grace that, God willing, our young people will experience what should be all of our goals, and that is the salvation of our soul. Thank you.
The first thing that I would like to say is thank you very much for being here. Thank you. It is a big shot on my heart directly as a minister in the church and, of course, as leaders, for all of us as bishops here in the Washington state, to see you all here putting your faith in action. And so for all the big issues that we have in front of us and all the privilege of being a disciple of Jesus Christ, and, of course, for all the challenges that we have. And the first thing that I would like to say is precisely what Bishop Daly already quote. Now Pope Saint Paul VI used to say, more than teachers in our world today, we need witnesses. More than teachers, we need martyrs. That's what it means. A witness is a martyr. So you think, we think in a certain moment that it's going to be easy, forget about it. Martyrdom is martyrdom. And of course we have Jesus Christ, the first martyr. To live with authenticity or faith is to be a martyr. It's not going to be easy. Not when we talk about immigration or abortion or euthanasia or racism or all the rest of the isms that we have around. And we have tons of those. Tons. So thank you for your faith in action. Thank you for being here. For me, as I said, as a minister in the church, it's a great shot in the heart. Thank you for that. My vocation might be dependent on you, every one of you, for the rest of my life. So thank you. I would say, of course, that we have, first of all, I would like to tell you a story that maybe you have heard me say in this, but I would like to share a little more. That story is just a story, but it's a beautiful one. I might have fixed it a little bit, okay? There is a story about a certain man who went to his pastor, and because he wanted to grow in sanctity, in holiness, as we are doing right here, right now. And of course, he went to his pastor and said, I would like you to make me a test, because I would like to see if I'm really growing in my sanctity, in my holiness, in the right direction with Jesus Christ. And the pastor said, get out of here. Holiness is just a life. That's it. You don't test it. You don't prove it or to anybody. Just live it. That's it. But he was nagging, of course, as many parishioners do. But anyway, that's a different story. And so on and on and on and on, coming to the pastor, and he finally, okay, I will make you a test. We'll see if you're growing in holiness and sanctity. Could you please tell me at what moment dawn breaks in every day? And the guy paused for a moment and think about it, and he said, well, I think when and I look at the horizon out there, and I can see if that tree out there is a oak tree or a palm tree or is any other kind of tree. That's dawn breaking in. And the pastor said, no, you're wrong. Well, give me another chance. So he said, try again. So when I see that silhouette in the horizon there, and I can see that it's an animal, and of course it is a horse or it's a cow or it's a dog or it's a cat. And the pastor said, again, you're wrong. Geez, well, give me a third chance. Everyone deserves 3 strikes, you know? So give me a third chance. And he said, okay, try it again. And he said, well, when I look at that silhouette that is approaching and I can see that it's a man or a woman, then dawn is breaking in. And the pastor said, no, you're wrong again. Totally wrong. Well, the guy said, now I'm really confused. What's going on? Could you please tell me what is the right answer? And he said, well, when you look at the eyes of that woman or that man, any of those, and you look at you discover a brother or sister, dawn is breaking. Otherwise, we are still in darkness, very much in darkness. Immigration is a big issue here. Yes, of course it is. Here and there and everywhere. I have been in many places in the world, and immigration is a huge issue. No wonder, of course, Pope Francis is adamant on that. Look at the millions everywhere that are migrating because many circumstances, mostly because of sinful actions of human beings. Being greedy, being selfish, being just me. And the rest, well, I'm already pretty much settled, and I don't care about you. Or war, or sometimes natural disasters. But most of the time, it's just human beings causing all these things because we don't think in anybody else. Till we see the eyes of that woman or that man, then dawn is breaking in. We are Catholics. We are here because of our faith. But we are going to be living it when we vote or when we do any service, prepares any other service in the parish, at home, on the streets, being rejected, being accepted or not. It doesn't matter. We have to persevere. That's our faith. But that is very difficult. There are 3 kinds of laws, according to me. Maybe you will enlighten me with another one, okay? 3 kinds of laws. Okay? And it has been that way since day one, I think, in the creation. The natural law, God's creation, of course. That means that every single human being was born on a man or a woman, lives for a certain span of time in this world. It varies, but certain span of time here. And then one day we will die, or they have died. Every single human being here in the world. That's natural law. Is there anybody who has lived forever? No, not at all. Every single human being was born of a man or a woman, live a certain span of time on this earth, and then die. That's it. That's natural law. We cannot fly, we don't have wings. That's natural law. We have legs and we have to walk. That's it. That's natural law. That's universal for everyone. Civil law. Civil laws depends on every single country. Every single country crafted his own laws for the people that is living in their territory. But countries are very much a political entity, man-made political entities. Just to give you an example, Soviet Union was before one thing, and now it's 10 different republics. The southern 3 states in the United States were part of Mexico some years ago. On and on and on. Mexico was Spain before. So on and on. Those are man-made decisions, political entities. God didn't create countries. God created a human being. That's it, with a natural law. Of course, with his wisdom. Civil law. Civil law as crafted with the votes of every single constituent that is part of that territory and consider himself or herself a citizen, and that's it, and everyone is asked either for abortion or whatever it is. Those laws can be changed anytime. Before, we have in the United States slavery, in Mexico too, in many other countries, or many other laws that have been changed. Simply because finally, dawn came in our lives. Here and here. Finally. But we are slow learners. Very slow process for everything. It took a long time to finally defeat slavery. Oh, yeah. How long will it take? As we listened to this morning in one of the presentations, workshops about racism. How long will it take? Till finally one day, individually, we allow the light of the Lord to dawn on us and like, oh, I discover a brother. Oh, I discover a sister. Oh, finally, someone is discovering me as a brother or as a sister. Civil law can change. It could be changed any time. That's up to us. That is why I'm so excited that you are here as citizens in this country. Maybe one day, I'm not a dreamer, but certainly I'm a Christian, so I am high, very high. I'm not naive, certainly not. But certainly I have to keep on hoping that one day the whole world will be without borders. Yeah, absolutely. Isn't that what Jesus said? Go throughout the whole world and preach everyone and baptize everyone. He didn't say baptize the white or the black or the Indians or the educated or the ignorant. No, the poor or the rich. Baptize everyone so that they will be all one family. That's our task, our goal. Charity, because of that, charity is the ultimate goal for all of us. Charity in action, with all the beautiful things that we do as Prepares was presented, or many other Catholic charities that we do, many, incredible things. But of course, charity in action also, when we vote, when we defend someone that had broken the law, oh no, it's illegal. Let me tell you, civil law has ridiculous things. A lot of ridiculous, stupid things that we have lived and followed for many, many years. And finally one day say, oh, it's time for us to change that law. Finally. Yeah, but in the meantime, we broke many lives. We hurt a lot of people or even killed people with those laws. Immigration is one of those? Yes, absolutely. People leave their countries because they want to? I don't think so. I haven't found yet no one. Not even the ones who go follow all the laws here for immigration. Not even those wanted to come here. They move here because there is opportunity here of work or a better life or whatever it is. Or they were fleeing their countries for disasters or persecution or bigotry or racism or all the awful things that we have in sinful lives. In Mexico, Central America, South America, Africa, Asia, whatever it is. Or with our own country here. Absolutely. There are many laws, and of course the United States is a law-abiding country. That is why it's so beautiful and so amazing and so effective, because laws help us to be effective and move on and accomplish things. That's wonderful, absolutely. And it's very visible here and tangible in this amazing country, absolutely, law-abiding country. But Jesus, I'm sorry, Jesus broke the law a lot of times. Jesus broke the law a lot of times because the ultimate call and law for all of us is charity. A brother or a sister, to be saved. He broke the law so many times. And the final law that I would like to address, of course, is divine law. Divine law is for us believers. That is why at the beginning I was congratulating you and thanking you for your faith. Divine law is for us. Why us? Because we are believers. We are disciples, missionaries of that charity throughout the whole world. In Washington, in Seattle, in any place. But of course, faith in action. When we vote and when we do anything, we have to live what we believe. Otherwise, it won't be happening. It's a utopia? Yes, it is. It is a utopia. Go throughout the whole world and make disciples. And Jesus said very clearly in very practical ways, when I was hungry, when I was thirsty, when I was naked, when I was in prison, you helped me. He didn't say the legals were not legal, the undocumented or not undocumented. No, everyone around. There are a lot of things, as I said, that are legal and are totally immoral. And they are legal. Abortion, euthanasia, same-sex marriage, marijuana, a lot of pornography, a lot of legal things are totally immoral. So not because it's legal, it's moral. And not because it's illegal, it's immoral. We have a lot of illegal things that are perfectly moral. Help all those who are in need, in distress, refugees or fleeing their country or whatever. Or just the person that is next to me. Oh, but it's illegal. Nobody's illegal. It's my brother or my sister, according to my faith. The love of Christ is pushing us to do so. The love of Christ is pushing us. Caritas Christi urget nos, says St. Paul. It's not that I want to. It's pushing me to do so. Once that I believe is love firing here within me. And so I have to do it. I have to do it. But of course, we have to do it together. Together. We need to live our faith. Pope Francis, of course, has been in his beautiful ways of saying things very Latino. He says that the worst and the gravest sin in our world today is indifference. Oh, well, this is their problem, not mine. No, we cannot be indifferent ever. That is why we have this kind of conferences. Finally, sorry, Archbishop. I would like to quote a text from the 2nd century that is very famous for some people that are scholars and stuff like that. It's called the letter to Diognetus, a Greek guy, but it's anonymous. The letter to Diognetus is the Christians in the world, and I would like to just to read a phrase from that letter. It's not that, it's just a page, but I will read only a phrase. Okay? Yeah, and it says, and yet, it's talking about the Christians in the world in the 2nd century, and yet there is something extraordinary about the lives of Christians. They live in their own countries as though they were only passing through. They plan their full role as citizens, but labor under all the disabilities of aliens. Any country can be their homeland, but for them, their homeland, whatever it may be, is a foreign country. Like others, they marry, they have children, but they do not expose them. They share their meals, but not their wives. Christians love those who hate them, and the soul loves the body and all its members. What is the soul to the body are the Christians to the world. Such is the Christian lofty and divinely appointed function from which he is not permitted to excuse himself. From which he is not permitted to excuse himself. We cannot excuse from our vocation for immigration, for living our values in every single aspect of our lives and societies. Thank you for your faith in action. God love you.
The topic that I'll be speaking on concerns the current status of conscience protection in our society. Now, it may seem like this topic is somewhat outside the focus of the Cornerstone Conference, but conscience protection is fundamental to all our efforts of defending and promoting human life in all its stages, especially at the beginning and the end of life. And I'm sure there's a lot of ways in which we all understand the term conscience. I once heard it said that a good conscience is usually the sign of a bad memory. But conscience is much more than just a guilty feeling we have after we do something. Conscience is our guide to morality that helps us navigate decisions and make choices. Conscience is what allows us to judge the rightness or wrongness of actions based on moral values and principles that we believe. The documents of Vatican II go so far as to say that conscience is the voice of God speaking within us at the core of our being. And for that reason, Catholics and other people of faith believe that conscience is inviolable, meaning that we should never go against our conscience if we really believe it is the voice of God guiding us to make a good decision. Of course, it's important that we form our consciences and inform our consciences so we correctly understand and apply moral values and principles in particular and complex situations. And if we don't do that, then we run the risk of making mistakes and errors in our judgment. But because conscience is so important for each person, our legal system has historically protected conscience freedoms as part of religious freedoms. However, those very protections have been challenged in an unprecedented way during the past 20 years, and legislation is regularly brought forward that would coerce and force doctors to perform abortions, sterilizations, medically unnecessary and non-therapeutic surgeries, and even prescribe suicidal drugs against their will and contrary to their personal beliefs. We must watch these developments carefully and resist them at every step of the way, because conscience protection is fundamental to our freedom of religion. Without legal protection for institutional conscience freedom, Catholic hospitals may be subject to legal action or financial penalties for their refusal to engage in morally offensive, non-therapeutic, and destructive practices. The same is true for the ministries of our Catholic schools, Catholic community services, and other ministries that care for the public need. Of course, such coercion could also very well force the closure of these church ministries when we refuse to cooperate in actions that are contrary to the dignity of the human person or intentionally cause the destruction of human life. Because conscience protection is so fundamental to our Christian witness and the functioning of our church ministries, we need to recognize and confront the various well-organized and articulated attacks on that freedom. I call your attention to the four following primary means of attack in particular. First, attacks are launched based on the legality argument. In this argument, the emphasis is not on a particular individual's right to something, but rather on forcing others to provide it for them. This argument claims that if something is legal, then agencies and professionals, including doctors, must perform that action on demand. Now, those who engage in this attack need to be reminded that conscience protection laws are also laws, and that one person's legal right does not allow them to coerce another person's participation. Such a notion is fundamentally repulsive to the human spirit and reminiscent of totalitarian regimes like Nazi Germany and communist countries. Second, attacks are based on the access argument. Now, this is actually part of the legality argument. In this argument, if someone has a legal right, then others must provide access to services so they can exercise that right. They claim that such access should be convenient. If others refuse to cooperate, then they are labeled as discriminatory and bigoted, two terms that we see used to excess in today's world. Those promoting this line of attack are actively trying to revoke any conscience refusal clauses or conscience protection clauses. These people need to be reminded that ease of access is different from a legal right. I may have a right to eat a ham and cheese sandwich, but that does not mean that I can force the closest Jewish deli to provide it for me in contradiction to their religious principles. Third, the monopoly argument. According to this argument, doctors and other professionals have an obligation to choose professions in which they have no moral objection to performing any action permitted by law. Such an argument would make it impossible for anyone with a conscience to function in virtually any profession. However, legal options are just that, options. Many women specifically want an OB/GYN doctor who will not kill the unborn child. Many adults want doctors who will not assist in killing the elderly. The monopoly argument obviously fails to consider everyone's right to choose doctors who share their values. And finally, we also see the imposing your beliefs argument being advanced aggressively. This is the claim that by refusing to participate in certain actions, professionals and institutions are imposing their religious or moral beliefs on others. Yet that is exactly what the proponents of this argument are doing, trying to impose on others their differing moral beliefs. This is a particularly one-sided argument which tries to force pro-life doctors to publicly inform their patients what they are doing or what they don't do, while not forcing pro-abortion doctors to publicly inform all patients of what they are doing. It also seeks to force pro-life clinics to make public statements without requiring all clinics to do so equally. I encourage all of you to recognize these multifaceted and ill-founded attacks on conscience protection and do everything within your power, especially within the political process, to ensure that legal conscience protections remain firmly in place for all faith-based institutions, hospitals, professionals, schools, social services, and so forth. The future existence of these very ministries depends on it. Thank you.